A lazy Sunday finds Blanche sunbathing on the Lenai, Dorothy correcting essays in red ink that resembles arterial spray, and Rose practicing lines for a hospital volunteer orientation video she's filming tomorrow. Tranquility shatters when Stanley Zabornak barges in wearing a leisure suit the color of an anemic mango. He announces that his younger brother, Dr. Ted Zabornak, a charming, globe-trotting cardiologist, will be in Miami for a medical conference and needs a place to stay. Dorothy tries to refuse on reflex, but Stan guilt-trips her with tales of brotherly devotion and a lost childhood hamster they once nursed to health. Sensing adventure, Blanche volunteers the guest room before Dorothy can veto. Sophia raises one eyebrow so high it almost secedes from her forehead. She's never trusted a man whose hair mousse costs more than his shoes. That evening, the front door swings open to reveal Ted. Tall, salt and pepper hair, disarming grin, stethoscope dangling from his designer duffel like a status accessory. Blanche's flirt radar goes supernova. She glides forward in a silk robe, offers him a thirst-quenching hurricane, and all but lays down a red carpet welcome made of throw pillows. Dorothy, expecting a Stan clone with sideburns, is startled to find Ted both witty and emotionally present, qualities Stan couldn't buy on layaway. Rose peppers him with questions about pacemakers and whether broken hearts make audible murmurs. Sophia simply eyes him, muttering in Italian about figs that look ripe but taste like sawdust. Over cheesecake, Ted recounts performing emergency surgery mid-flight using only vodka, a paperclip, and the tiny plastic knife from a meal tray. Blanche swoons so hard her hoop earrings clink against the dessert forks. Dorothy tries to maintain air traffic control over her own pulse, reminding herself this is Stan's brother, which should make him radioactive. Sophia keeps score under her breath. Dorothy's pupils dilated, Blanche batting lashes at 60 beats a minute, Rose smiling like a Christmas nutcracker. When Blanche offers Ted a late-night tour of Miami's most culturally significant moonlit rooftops, he accepts with physician-calm politeness. Back in her room, Blanche unleashes a perfume cloud visible from orbit and slips into an emerald gown. But fate, and one too many hurricanes, intervenes. On the rooftop bar, Blanche launches into a sultry anecdote about debutante mischief. Midway through, her chair leg snaps, champagne splashes, and she twists her ankle. Ted, ever the doctor, escorts her home, prescribes ice, and tucks her into bed with sibling-like tenderness that feels more clinical than romantic. Blanche drifts into painkiller dreamland, whispering, "Call me if you need vitals." Ted politely shuts the door and heads to the kitchen for chamomile. Dorothy, up late grading essays about the Louisiana Purchase, finds Ted there in t-shirt and pajama pants. Conversation flows, education reform, moral philosophy, whether decaf is a war crime, until an electrical spark of chemistry arcs between them. Ted confesses he admired Dorothy's intelligence at Stan's wedding, but never dared compete with his brother. Dorothy laughs, calling Stan the human participation trophy, and thanks Ted for making high school seem bearable. One impulsive heartbeat later, Ted kisses her. It is slow, surprising, and thoroughly uncomplicated. Except Dorothy's brain screams that she has just swapped DNA with her ex-husband's sibling. She stumbles to bed, pulse drumming like a maraca, telling herself daylight will restore sanity. Morning delivers anything but. Blanche limps in on crutches, already bedazzled, proclaiming her intent to resume romantic reconnaissance that evening. Dorothy's stomach loops into sailor knots. She pulls Rose aside and confesses the kiss. Rose's instinctive reaction is to offer fudge from her volunteer bake sale. When Dorothy declines, Rose suggests transparency before Blanche ignites. Dorothy imagines that confrontation ending with a crutch-swinging reenactment of Gone with the Wind. Sophia, overhearing, advises Dorothy to tell Blanche quickly, "Rip off the Band-Aid, not the jugular." At lunch, Dorothy attempts honesty, but Blanche is lost in makeup swatches, rehearsing how she'll greet Ted on date round 2. Opportunity evaporates when Stan bursts in whining that his hotel downgraded him to a room facing a dumpster. He wants to bunk at the house as well. Sophia screams, "Mamma mia, it's a roach motel for Zbornaks!" Dorothy forbids the arrangement, citing maximum occupancy per city code, then escorts Stan out. Ted witnesses the chaos, pulls Dorothy aside, and admits the rooftop kiss unsettled him, in a good way. He proposes dinner, no subtext, just conversation. Dorothy's heart says yes. Her cerebral cortex files for restraining order. She concedes on one condition: they inform Blanche first. Ted agrees, impressed by her integrity. That integrity faces an immediate stress test when Blanche hobbles in, wearing a glittering sling, brandishing 2 tickets to Miami's hottest Metro Tango night. Dorothy blurts the truth. Ted kissed her. Silence detonates. Rose drops a ladle. Sophia mutters, "Dead man walking." Blanche's eyes widen like magnolias before a storm. She inhales, steadies herself on the crutch, and, contrary to predictions, laughs. Not a brittle titter, but a genuine guffaw that rattles the china. She thanks Dorothy for honesty, declares the sisterhood intact, and jokes that at least one Devereaux-Zabornak merger might actually have staying power. Emboldened by Blanche's grace, Dorothy and Ted head to the Seabreeze Cafe. Conversation deepens. Ted reveals a pattern of short-term affairs he justifies with life-and-death job stress. Dorothy challenges him. Does saving lives grant permission to avoid living his own? Ted's eyes cloud. He admits commitment terrifies him more than any surgery. Dorothy recognizes Stan's emotional footprint and shrinks. She won't reboot that heartache. When Ted invites her to accompany him to a physicians' conference in Rio next month, she asks if he's inviting Dorothy, or any woman clever enough to quote Yeats over calamari. Ted's silence is telling. She thanks him for honesty and declines, choosing self-respect over airborne romance. Back home, she finds Blanche, Rose, and Sophia playing gin rummy with Stan, who's been allowed one night on the couch under threat of duct tape across his mouth. Dorothy announces she and Ted parted as friends. Blanche cheers with relief, Sophia wins the hand, and Stan whines about bad timing. He brought a travel agent brochure titled Brazil for Two. Dorothy replies that the only trip Stan is taking is back to the dumpster view. She tosses him the brochure anyway, folded into a paper airplane. Ted departs at dawn, leaving thank you roses for each woman: white for Rose's kinder soul, peach for Blanche's exuberance, crimson for Dorothy's courage, and yellow for Sophia's brutal honesty. Over breakfast, Blanche proposes a pact. No matter how charming a man is, the girls will consult each other before boarding any relationship cruise. Rose amends the pact to include fudge emergencies. Sophia adds a footnote: if the man brings a duplicate Stan, pact vetoes automatically. Dorothy lifts her coffee mug to second that motion. As they dig into pecan cheesecake, the phone rings. Stan, pleading for a ride to the airport because he missed his shuttle. 4 spoons clink in unison back onto saucers. Dorothy picks up, adopts her sweetest voice, and says, "Sorry, Stan, we've reached our Zabornak quota this century." She hangs up amid riotous laughter that drifts through the bungalow, proof once again that love, sisterly love, trumps even the most tempting brotherly intrigue.